truth?
I'm all ears.
Okay. The truth.
I always tell the truth, even when I lie.
Why do you find it so hard to believe?
Why do you find it so easy?
It's never been easy.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
All I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Truthful Talk. I'm your host, Marco, and I'm here once again with the amazing Derek Rowe. And we're in mid-conversation, and we're just going to continue, and you're going to be like a fly on the wall listening to this, and we're talking about the concept of unfinished as it relates to art, and what does that even mean? Is there even such a thing as unfinished, or is unfinished just mean, I guess what you were saying, Derek, like monetarily? Is that what we're talking about? Is unfinished, or is
I think, on our last conversation, this conversation that we've had for many years about these projects that we've worked on that like become like they're like half nostalgia and half like reminiscing and half like, I can't think of the other thing. It's like we just talk about like, oh, I got to get that done. It's like, oh, we should hang out more kind of vibes.
Right.
And so it's definitely something we talk about, but we've even gone deeper because we want to stop having that conversation. We want those things to.
Well, that's funny. We want to stop having that. I felt that in my soul. Oh my God.
we like talking about it, but like the reason we're talking about it is because we want it to be finished. We want that off our shoulders. And so it's just something that I personally do, which is like, if I'm feeling the weight of something or I'm feeling stress, the first thing I always do is just like check in with myself if it's rational. Like, do I need this? Or can I simply just let go of it? And when you have something like this, an unfinished project, I think you have to ask yourself the same question. It's like, do I need the stress of this being unfinished and worrying about or trying to finish it, or can I just let it go? And so I feel like the reason we've both talked about why we can't let it go is because of the people we worked on it with, that when everyone showed up on set or they showed up to meet and work on it, like there's an imagination that we're all doing. We're like co-imagining the end. And that end is we created something together. And what's interesting is I think going in, everyone has the assumption that like, oh, this will be on Netflix. Or back in the day, it was like, oh, this will be a DVD available to rent, or this will be, distributed by someone or something like that. Would be the success. But plenty of independent films don't ever get there. So if you are talking about independent film, it's hard to really come up with the definition of what finished is, especially if you're on a creative process and you're not dealing with like a studio kind of top down leadership and like everyone is co-creating a film. Like it really does become super unclear. Like, when is this project done?
So, okay, that's really interesting. When is it done? We've done so many projects, right? More commercial probably than anything else. But I don't look back at a single Disney project and say, you know what, I wish I had more time on that. I just don't, right? And we've done so many of them. It's like, it's like, oh yeah, the grad night 2000, whatever. It's like, I wish we had more time on that. It's like, no, I'm good. We're done. And there's so many things we've done. Gossip Shop. I don't ever look back and say, I wish we had more time on Gossip Shop. And I was like, no, I feel we completed that. Underdose, I feel we completed that. I don't feel this need to go back. So why are there projects that I do feel that about, and then projects that I don't? Because art is never finished. We could always go further. We could have gone further into Underdose or Gossip Shop. We could have done episode 2 of Gossip Shop because it was the start of something. But why, the 501st, there are things that I'm like, no, I'm good. We did that. And then there's others like Out on Parole. And for me, because of you, like those two are the ones that stand out in my mind. Why do we feel that? Because even like your documentaries Within Reach, One Simple Question, those feel complete to me. Those feel absolutely complete. And I don't know why. I don't know what that ending point is that makes it feel complete, where these others, where we got a lot out of those projects, I don't know why they don't. And
let me ask you something.
Yeah.
So Marco was just kind of naming a bunch of different projects, like you were naming like commercial projects that we worked on together, and some like independent film projects we worked together. One of those was like a pilot, kind of like for a possible TV show. And I totally know what you're saying. I feel like I resonate with what you're saying. That's a lot of those projects feel done, and the documentary film work I've done feels done too. But there was definitely time in between rough cut of a documentary film and where we are now, when we would have conversations, me and the other co-producers of those projects, like, when is it going to be done? And I would say that self-responsibly, those eyes were looking at me.
Mm.
And that's because I was the reason they were not done. I felt like it still felt like it dragged, or it still felt like there was a scene in there that came at the wrong time or something like that. And so those films, the difference with them is both the documentary films, feature-length documentary films that I worked on, we screened them multiple times. Like I think Within Reach, my first documentary, we screened hundreds and hundreds of times all over the world.
Right.
And One Simple Question, my second documentary, we screened that hundreds and hundreds of times. You know, both of them probably had the same kind of reach, but in those screenings, the ones where I was there, I had opinions as a viewer.
Right.
And I had the power to fix it. And so I feel like that, having that power, like, it makes me wonder if all unfinished films are a product of all unfinished documentary films, or no, all unfinished independent films.
Yeah.
Are a product of one member having too much power.
That's a great point. Think of George Lucas, where he went back in the 90s and updated the original Star Wars. And then he went back again. He did it twice. Then he went back again and updated. Like, as technology improved, it was like, oh, let me go add more things here. Let me change the CGI here. CGI didn't exist when he created the original trilogy. But then when it did, and it was powerful, he went back and updated it. And you know, into a fan base, I know there's so many fans, including myself, it's like, leave it alone. Like, leave the original material. But I can see, as the artist, I understand the artist side of it, of like, oh, I can make it better.
Right.
But where does it end?
Yes. I think, and you know, I've in doing this research for this idea of this podcast, you know, I think the idea was, maybe that's a podcast. That's kind of what we said on that episode. It's like, maybe talking about unfinished projects is a podcast. And then since then, we've talked more about that. Like, well, what does it mean? What would the episodes be about? What would we be searching for? I think the underlying question is definitely what we're talking about. Like, what is unfinished?
Yeah.
And I think that in my own exploration of this, I feel like I found a lot of value in unpacking it. Like, oh, actually, like, I know that art is never done, you know, like art is abandoned. Like, I get it, but like, I still want to finish this. Right. And so I feel like, to some degree, I've started to come up with a new definition of it, and honestly start to see other filmmakers or artists in general, like myself, who are stuck or tortured.
Torture is a good word.
And being like, oh, maybe this is a thing that we can do together, that we can like start like getting together with people who are who have this thorn in their side, that, you know, and talk about it, and one, learn something, two, help to lift up their project and the work that they did, even though it was not available to be viewed. I mean, nowadays in media, like, that's half of the content. Like, people make reaction videos and get millions of hits, right? So like that reaction video is just as valuable as the first creation itself. So, and then like the last final layer is like one of these cold case documentary podcasts. You know, the murderer gets caught, or the case gets reopened because of the energy and the attention that's being put into the podcast. Could that happen? Could you unlock new energies, new connections, new potential for an artist or creator that has something that's unfinished through this podcast? I think those are like the three kind of like layers to the idea,
which I think work great. And for everyone out there listening or watching, Derek and I were literally just meeting on this idea of this new podcast that we really want to do, and we've been discussing, and it just came to the point where, I mean, this is what Truthful Talk is about. It's like, wait a minute, we're having this great discussion. It's very philosophical. It's very deep, and it relates to all art. Let's press record and do a Truthful Talk podcast at the same time. So really, that's why when I say you're catching us mid-discussion, we've been discussing this already, and it was like, wait, let's record and start. So that's what we're discussing right now, is the validity of this, because we both think it's so fascinating, because I think we've both been tortured on this, whether self-torture or outside pressure torture of this idea. You know, because it's also interesting. Okay, so theater. Right? We're doing theater. I don't ever feel like it's unfinished. Now, I do wish we could go longer with a run of a show. Like, I love the show so much, and I love what the actors are doing, and I love what, you know, so I do wish we could show more people. But I don't ever, rarely, I would say, I come out of it saying, oh, I wish I could do that again because I would do it differently or better. I wish, or we never got a chance to do this one piece of it. I typically have a feeling of completion in theater. So, which is interesting to me, of why it's just there's like certain projects.
I mean, that is part of the thinking I've done too. It's like, where does unfinished happen?
Writing,
I think.
Right.
Okay. Good point. Yeah.
So
your story can be unfinished because you haven't
finish it.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I guess if you're writing a script and you don't have the completion of the story that can be made into a film or something. Yeah, like I'm just like, you know, maybe a screenplay or something. I know I have a few of those.
Okay, so we're saying writing, we're saying film, we're saying not so much theater.
Well,
if the script is written.
And that's what I'm wondering. Maybe I would feel different if we didn't put everything we had into theater to complete it. Like I feel that sense of completion probably for the same reason you did with the documentaries, because it was shown. Yeah. And we get the feedback from the audience.
Right, exactly.
And it's not like the audience is coming out and saying, well, I wish it had this or I wish it had that. We're getting positive feedback. You showed, you know, both documentaries within reach and One Simple Question all over.
That's
and you got
really
to be
good point.
there and get the feedback. So, because to me, art is not art until it's shared. It's a shared human experience.
Yeah.
Is that because we're not sharing certain projects?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really interesting insight to it, is because I think there is this element in writing and film and maybe even music too.
Music's a good one. Yeah.
Because, and it specifically has to do with the recording and the production that is required of creating something that is shareable. Because I could just go with my piano and go play a song.
Yeah.
And then when I walk away, it's done. There's nothing unfinished about that. But if I was to lay down the piano part and then never lay down the vocals, the laying down is the part I didn't complete.
So is it then the intention? Meaning, if you sat down and just started playing music just for you, the intention's different than if you want to create a song that you want to play publicly or you want others to listen to. So the intention of sharing it changes maybe what our completion of that is.
Yeah, I think this is, to some degree, we're almost like coming up with some of the ideas that we could, when we, have filmmakers on this podcast, like ideas that we can do beyond the podcast. It's sort of like, part of the story could be, all right, do you want to finish this?
Right.
Yes. Here are some ideas and we can make it part of the story. Is the first thing you need to do is screen that film, even though it's unfinished. And exactly how it is right now, you need to play it for someone somehow.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is a really interesting concept, because in a time where bad movies, B movies, are a thing that people enjoy, it doesn't really seem too far-fetched to share a film that isn't done yet.
No, I don't think so at all.
So I do think that, like, helping someone to change their perspective on it is really probably half the problem. So I think, like, what you're challenging there is, like, is it the intention? It's like, okay, it's not the project, it's not the art that's unfinished, it's the plan. You have an unfinished plan.
I think that's it. I really, really do. I think that's it. It's
and
like,
you just need to change your plan. And you haven't been willing to change it.
that is a hard truth right there. Yeah. The unwillingness to change it, the naivety of saying we're still going to somehow get back and do that. Like when we did Makazi 1, right? Our Star Wars film, which is out there, everyone. If you want to go watch it, it's on YouTube. Makazi 1, Makazieone. Go check it out. It's pretty good. Anyway, when we did that, and we all worked on that, right? We did the rotoscoping and right at the sound effects, and so, like, when we created that, I felt completed with that. But there's a lot of push for, when are you going to do Makazi 2 or whatever the hell it is, right? The next one. I don't have any need to do a second one. I feel like we did that. We told that story. And even though it almost ended in a cliffhanger, it was like, that was the point of that story. Not that we never could do another one, but I don't have this burning desire that feels like the story we needed to tell was not there.
That's interesting, because I think, that film was directed by Clutch.
Yeah.
And I think that that was a passion project for him.
Yes.
And he was the sort of the burning fire. Like, if it was unfinished, he would be the one on this podcast right now. Oh,
and he pushed it, and he pushed everything he had to get it done.
Right. But so I do think that project easily could have become a great example of an unfinished film, because there were so many pieces, there were so many sort of compositing and special effects that had to be done, but he was able to do them, many of them, on his own. And that's mainly where we were coming in supporting. So, we were helping it to be completed, but I feel like I guess if I was to say, without having him on, and he actually would be a good person to talk about, he would be
someone good to talk about.
Because of that kind of, like, that energy that he brought to that film, I was under the impression that project was a passion project, something that he loved to do, a really cool idea that he wanted to do.
Yes.
But also a demo reel for a job.
Maybe. Which I did work for him in that way.
That's what I'm saying. So like, it's not unfinished. Even if it was, it wouldn't matter, because its purpose was realized, to go along with this idea of it being an unrealized plan. And so if he had made that film and didn't get any work after it, would the plan still be like, oh, that plan didn't work out? And so really, is that what actually an unfinished film is? It's you coming to the realization of, okay, that plan didn't work out, new plan. And an unfinished film is really like no one came up with a new plan.
And I mean, he got a lot out of that. I mean, the fan film, and just so everyone knows, if you go and you watch Makazi 1, understand we did this before the technology of today exists. So it was before HD existed. I mean, so we were out filming and trying to make it look as good as we can, and did everything. And we're really proud of what we created before, because you look at today's technology and it would have been much easier. We didn't have any of that. So it was a lot of just manual, but it was interesting. And it was before we've made it after the sequels, meaning the sequels, the prequels, the Revenge of the Sith and Jar Jar Binks and all of that. It was after that, but it was before any of the new stuff. It was before Rogue One. It was before any of the new stuff that came out, The Force Awakens, before that. So, and I remember he just had this idea, this passion of, what if stormtroopers weren't as bad as they were made out to be? They're buffoons kind of in the original 6. And he's like, well, what if they weren't? And what if they were actually soldiers? And how could we do something? Because he's an ex-soldier. And so it's like, what could we bring that together? And that was really his passion thing. What if we showed stormtroopers as actual soldiers? And that was really the passion that he made. And the cool thing is he got to screen it to Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni, who, helmed the Clone Wars and then now is doing basically everything in Star Wars. He got to screen it to him. And so who knows if that seed got planted for The Mandalorian and some other things that, because really, I mean, if you think about it, Makazi 1 was one of the first things creatively that showed a more cinematic view of those worlds. And I say that because you want to talk about completion for Clutch, to have this passion and to show more of a military style in this whole thing, and then to see stuff. And then after showing it to Filoni, and then, years later, seeing The Mandalorian and seeing Andor and seeing things that are depicting his initial vision of all of that. Kind of cool. So I think there is no more completion to go.
Yeah.
If you think of like, I did my job there.
Well, and that is going back to what you were saying, like earlier, you're saying, okay, for me, the reason I want to finish these projects is because the people who worked on it. And so you want to honor the people who worked on it. And so I think what I started to ask myself here, and this is like going back to the podcast idea, is let's say Makazi 1 never got complete.
Right.
Meaning there's no credit roll. There's no DVD with it on it.
Right.
There are just a couple exports here and there while the project was being worked on. In today's world, what would that matter? All the content we see on a regular basis is clips, even of podcasts, for example. Like I've seen plenty of clips of podcasts and never actually listened to the podcast.
Right.
So
that's true.
In nowadays, could you just take your favorite scenes from Makazi 1 and publish them and be finished?
Oh my God. Like with this new, especially with this new vertical format, right?
Yeah.
So they have something called verticals, which are out there. If anyone doesn't know what a vertical is, if you've ever been scrolling through Instagram and all of a sudden you're seeing something that looks like a soap opera, that's a vertical. It's purposely shot in a vertical format, a 9:16 format for your phone, in short, like 30 seconds to maybe a couple minutes at a time. And they're like episodic and you're following a story, very soap opera-y, but very well produced, very well done. But that's really interesting. What if we do the same concept? What if we take something unfinished, as if Makazi 1 was done, and say, okay, let's just take this clip. Let's take this clip. Let's take this clip and show pieces of the story and let them stand on their own. That's really an interesting, which we never had the ability to do before.
Right. And so that really goes back to this question of like unfinished or finished or deliverable or non-deliverable or honoring the people who worked on it. If if any of these unfinished projects existed as clips in social media or wherever, it doesn't matter. The movie doesn't have to exist in this post movie theater world we live in. Like the only people going to the movie theater are like seeing like the top 1% of films that are made, right? And so I just and here's another argument. This is a hot take. I think we should stop making movie trailers. I think trailers at this point only lead me to saying I don't want to see that movie. And many times I'll see a movie that I saw the trailer and decided I didn't want to see that movie, and I'll see the movie and go, "Wow, the movie was great," but the trailer made me not want to see it. I bet I almost guarantee that if you took no trailer, just the clip of that movie, and you shared it, way more interest in seeing that movie.
You just started
the trailer.
Your voice just started glitching for some reason. That's what I mean.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's on your end or my end, but it just started like you started video glitching a little bit too. Want to see?
Okay. Well, my computer, when I was messing with the camera earlier, my computer, I unplugged the power.
Okay. Yeah, you're glitching more and more and more. Your video.
It just sent me a notice that was like your computer's. It was like your computer's going to.
Did you plug it back in?
Die.
Okay.
I did, and that's when the glitching started. So yeah, I don't know that until it gets more energy in it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to recover from it because I'm taxing it a lot right now. I could probably close. I can't really close anything.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna pause our recording. Start recording. Okay. Yeah. So say that thing again about you're talking about trailers and the significance of that nowadays.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. How is the audio going?
Oh, damn it! Now it's garbly again.
Oh, really?
What the hell?
No, that doesn't make sense.
No, it was fine. All right, pausing once more. Recording again. All right, so in getting back to it, the thing you were saying about trailers.
Yeah, I was saying that I think this is like a hot take is that only trailers, the only thing that happens for trailers for me now is like they make me not want to see a movie. I'm like, oh, I don't think I would like that movie. And then I end up seeing the movie and I'm like, I really liked that movie. I wonder why I didn't want to see it. Well, the only thing that would make me not want to see it would be the trailer.
Right.
So I would bet that if you just simply share a clip of a movie, that the likeliness and the intrigue that you could create through that clip are more than a trailer. Like you don't need a trailer, just a clip, a really good clip.
Like a 2-minute clip, 90-second clip, just something.
Yeah. It's just one clip where you create mystery because you drop people down in the middle of the film and you show people the I don't know, one of the scenes of the film that show a character or show a scene.
Yeah.
Or a landscape or the scenario, the dramatic arena. And they're like, oh, what's going on there? I think I got to go watch the movie to find out.
Yeah. It is interesting. Trailers themselves have changed over the years where it used to be more of a teaser. They wouldn't give anything away, but enticed you to see the story, got you interested. I feel trailers nowadays, it's all about opening weekend. It's like they give you way too much. It's not like they're giving away the story. They give away everything, but they don't care. They just want you to get the opening weekend. And once they get those numbers in, I don't know. It is a different type of storytelling.
No, I think you're right. And I think you're touching on something there, which is I started doing research for this podcast thinking, all right, well, let's start out by talking about famous unfinished films. Like our conversation a lot of times is about our unfinished projects or people that we know as unfinished projects, and that leads to a bigger conversation. And there's something really like humbling about reading about a big famous film director's unfinished project.
Right.
Like, oh, well, it happens to them too.
Like Terry Gilliam's film with the Don Quixote one.
Right.
Right. You have that, and you have like big actors on it and everything, and then it falls apart. And he almost had it with the next one with Heath Ledger, the Imaginarium of the Imaginarium, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something. Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, that one.
I mean, you can't really set up a film more for being unfinished than one of the cast literally dies.
Yeah. A star. Right. How do you finish a film if your star passes on and is no longer like actually there? It's like, wow, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So I feel like if that can happen, then anyone can finish any film.
Okay, so if that's the case, what stops us then from finishing the films? Like I was talking to you before, I think this might have even been before we hit record earlier, but like, you know, we have one film that literally needs ending credits. I think that's all it needs. And I mean, could we go back and change it? You know, because of you, right? Could we go back and change it and change different things and everything? Yeah, but literally, I think it just needs a credit sequence, and it's done. Why isn't it? And I can't even answer that question myself, and I'm the one in control of that.
I think so. I can answer it for myself, which is the plan. To go back to this idea of the plan. So to me, there's nowhere that it's going to be seen unless I'm screening it.
Right.
If you don't have a big name talent in it and you don't have the energy that you had when you were producing the film,
right,
and the community of people who would like want to see it, really you're the audience. It's a film with an audience of one. So the power and motivation and energy and pressure, like it doesn't exist. Like finishing it is just so you can say that you finished it, and that's kind of like not that good of a motivation.
No, it's more like utilitarian, right? It's like, okay, we're done. Checking it off the list, not
right.
Yeah.
And so I think what I started to ask myself is, if we were to create a podcast for, I mean, it could be for any art, but it's specifically, I think, the idea of filmmakers talking about their unfinished projects, specifically projects that got off the ground that didn't complete. Like specifically a project that scenes were filmed, shots were taken, things have been made, but it was never released or never quote unquote finished. And work with them, supporting them to finish that film, finish that project, creating new energy behind it. Do we then become the new form of getting your film done? Does being on our podcast, having this conversation, become the thing to do? Because I think there's plenty of podcasts out there who will talk about, oh, let's talk about movies and pop culture, right? And like we all like to do that because it's a shared experience, and we can do that. We can work as fellow filmmakers ourselves to connect the greater audience with these filmmakers. But there is a story there. Like there is a time when they were like, I want to make this movie. This is a movie. And I really do wonder if this unfinished podcast is like a deeper conversation about film today, period.
Okay.
And do we become does this become a new channel for your work?
I like that. Yeah. I mean, to give a different type of motivation.
Exactly. New type of motivation, a community.
Yeah. Because it needs to come from somewhere. I do agree. It needs to come from somewhere because there's there's no logical reason, even though I'm sure we can come up with some, that we haven't completed certain projects. I think it's emotional, or it's intention. There's something there. And, all it takes is to flip on Amazon Prime and just to see that, well, Velocipaster got finished. Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter got finished. It's like, okay, Killer Couch got finished. It's so when I see that, I'm like, wait a minute. What got them to the point where they could maybe say theirs is done and ours isn't? And it really is an interesting thing. And again, I still come back to, why do I have a burning desire somewhere in me that needs to get it done? And maybe burning desire is not it. Maybe it is just obligation. Maybe it is a feeling of obligation to the people and artists that were involved. That might really be it. I don't know. I can tell you that with Out on Parole, I do love the film. Like, I love the story and I love how it was told. And I find myself, just like I repeat lines of pop culture all the time, I repeat lines from that movie all the time because they're funny.
Right.
They are funny. Right? Like I'd like, my timing was off. Like a line like that where Looney says that, is like, my God, it's so funny, but you only understand it if you've seen the film. And it's like, wow, this is really good. Most of them are from Looney, I think, believe it or not. Right? Like when Looney's in the bar and he's like, who was that? And he's like, well, he's like, I don't care. And it's like, it's funny. And it's like, man, people should have this type of entertainment. It's funny and it's quotable and it's memorable. And I think part of me wants people to experience just that. It's like, I don't know. To me, Out on Parole has a place in a B-level pop culture. I don't know. I think.
I completely agree with you. And I think that this conversation about clips even more supports that, because you're talking about clips.
Yeah,
you're not talking about a movie.
Right.
You're talking about clips.
Talking about moments, and you're absolutely right.
And so I think, the thing that has really given me the confidence to do this project with you is, one, because it's a conversation we've been having for years, and I would love to do this podcast to give it a place to live. Two, I think we talked about some of the other reasons we could build community around filmmakers. Yeah. But really, in the end, the final thing that's like, this is worth doing, is there was a time when film was distributed on DVD.
Right.
And when you got that DVD, you would open it up and you didn't just want to take the disc out and put it in the player.
No.
You wanted to look at the little booklet that came with it. You wanted to see if there was anything that fell out of it when you opened it up. Mm-hmm. You wanted to look at the designs that were on the case. And then you wanted to see, did it come with another DVD? And sometimes it did. And that DVD was the special features DVD.
Right.
And the special features are actually what made the DVD worth buying, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%.
Because nowadays it's gone. The place for that content is no longer exists. And we do have clips on YouTube or promotional videos that are made for films, but you can just feel that there wasn't a crew responsible for the special features as they used to do to add value to the DVD. And so I think you could really just argue that the space that we could create with this podcast and this brand is the new special features.
Well, one of the things I used to love was the commentary tracks.
Exactly.
You could watch the movie with the director or the actors talking about it as you're watching the movie. That was gold. And that almost doesn't exist at all anymore. Commentary tracks.
Exactly. So if simply all we did was create an episode of a podcast with a filmmaker showing their film and talking about it, we would help them pull a film out of the pits of hell or whatever dark place unfinished films go.
That sounds about right.
2, we give them a place to talk about and tell those stories that made that time so special to them in the first place. And maybe even a chance to honor the people who did hard work and why they felt, what were the products of that hard work. And so it becomes like, I think it becomes a lot more than this, but I think it's sort of an easy get is the Unfinished podcast is the new special features for filmmakers to screen their film in a place where it's unfinished.
Right.
This is an unfinished project, but I think it's valuable and worth making. And the reasons, answering the questions, the reasons why are actually the real things we want to hear.
Yeah.
We want to know why. Why do you think
Right.
that this needs to be made? And it's like a whole new, like I said earlier, it's like the reaction videos, like the fact that reaction videos can be a thing. I think the Unfinished podcast can be a thing.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I'm hoping it is. I mean, I'm hoping it is a way, because we can speak from experience that we know what it feels like to have to not have an avenue to talk about or to show or to, just explain, hey, here's a film we did and it's not many people have seen it. Yeah, that's valuable. That's really, really valuable.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think I am like a little on the fence. I just want to ask you, before we kind of like in this conversation, how do you feel about the talking about films like from the famous unfinished films versus talking to independent filmmakers about unfinished projects?
Well, that's interesting. I think talking about famous unfinished films, I think that's the draw in. I think, people can relate because other films that have been made. If Lucas had an unfinished film, it's like, oh my God, Lucas did. It's relatable now.
Okay,
It's not just the student independent world that ran out of money or anything else. Spielberg, couldn't get something done, or so something at that level. I do think Terry Gilliam is not like some unknown director,
right,
who struggled with making the two that we know of. So I do think it's relatable, and I think for the audience, I think it helps understand that art is not something that is a guarantee, and it's not easy to make a film, to write a script, to compose music, to whatever it is, right? I mean, art is not something that is easy or guaranteed at all. So I like both.
I like what you're saying. You're saying that both are important to complete the idea, or both together make this concept more powerful. Because before this conversation, the reason I need to finish the film is because I want to consider myself on the same level of the people I respect. But if you tell stories about how these people that we respect also have unfinished films, then you're already there.
We're already there, right? It's like, because there is this disconnect. And saying, well, of course Spielberg gets his stuff done because he's Spielberg. Right. It's like, well, what if you found out he didn't? And what if we found out that Jaws was almost an unfinished film?
Right.
And he had to course correct big time to even, to get that thing out of production and then post-production. So it is an interesting, I think these are good conversations for all artists, especially artists that are not at that studio $1 billion level yet, to understand that art is a struggle. And I think when we see the greats struggle or know the struggles they've gone through, but somehow they've gotten beyond it, I think it's inspiring to say, well, we can do the same. So I do think that's relatable. And of course, talking to actual independent filmmakers is relatable because it's like, okay, you're struggling too, I'm struggling too. How do we get through this? So I think both are important. And I think this is why, as actors, when I'm teaching actors, talking to their peers is one thing, but hearing interviews from, Denzel, all of a sudden, it sparks something in them. Oh, well, if Denzel said it.
Right. Exactly. That's a good point.
Then, right. So it's like, because he went through the ladder, right? He went through all the steps to get to where he's at. And to know that if Denzel or Viola struggled along the way and they made it, then maybe I have a chance.
I mean, that is how I'm convincing myself that this is something we should do right there. It's like if you gave a filmmaker right now a place to show what they created, even if they only made one scene of their dream idea, and they could show that and talk about it, you've created a whole new avenue in the media landscape of today that right now there's no outlet. There's no
Right.
community of independent filmmakers that are sharing their work in the same way that Hollywood kind of controls that avenue, that pipeline. And so to be part of an alternative space where this is happening, the language of film is not a chance to put myself on a ladder and be like, look, I did that with this budget. Like, no, like
Right.
many of the filmmakers I meet, they are making a project because they feel like it's a story that they want to tell and they want a chance to tell it. And so I feel like creating space for that is like, it's like kind of doing a service to film as an art form. And it feels good to talk about and imagine doing that.
Yeah. And, the struggle's real. And I know there's a philosophy for beginning filmmakers, intermediate filmmakers, beginning actors, or, musicians, anything. You're starting out and it's like, oh, I just want to get to the point where I don't struggle. And it's like, no. The struggle doesn't ever stop. The studios are struggling, right? Meaning the creatives within those studios are struggling as much as people starting out. I actually think there might be an argument to say it's easier before you get to that level. You have more control over what you're doing before you get into the system, where you lose pretty much all your control. So, I do. I think there's a relatability to that. That's so important. So I'm excited I'm excited. I mean, you and I work so well together. We have for years. So I'm excited to get back to doing something like that.
Let's do it. I think the next time you hear us, we'll be releasing our first episode. That's what I'll say. Yeah,
we'll do that. And of course, we'll announce it here on Truthful Talk. I'll let all of you know who listen to this, where you can find our next, the other podcast that Derek and I are going to do. So we'll make sure we promote that here so you can tune into that. But
let's do it.
Yeah, but Derek, it's been great having you on to here. And and for all of you out there, thank you so much for listening, or even, possibly tuning into us here too. Thank you so much. Without you tuning into this podcast, then we're just talking to each other. So, which we enjoy doing anyway. True. Which is great. True. But just a reminder to all of you out there, and we'll see you next time. But until then, remember to treat yourself with kindness and others, and reward yourself for the risks that you take. All right, everyone. Bye now. If you'd like to learn more about what we do, you can find us online at truthfulacting.com, or you can check out our theater at theaterontheedge.org, O-R-G. Hope to see you soon, either in class or at one of our shows.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
I know what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to free your mind, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.